It's February. My boat's on the hard. And I'm planning next summer's cruise. There are a number of things you need to take care of before your boat ever leaves the dock. I want to talk about each of these. So on this episode of Budget Boat Cruising, we talk about planning a cruise. The first and perhaps the most important thing when planning a cruise has to do with the captain and the crew. Everyone on board a boat should be familiar with the boat's operation and the various names of parts of the boat. Crew should be prepared for everything from docking to almost any eventuality, including a crew member overboard. Provide a personal flotation device, commonly called PFDs, to every crew member and train everyone on what to do in case of an emergency. Place information on making mayday calls beside the ship's radio, and make sure everyone can read a GPS or a chart plotter enough to give coordinates. Make sure at least someone on board has first aid and CPR training, and the ship has a good first aid kit. Hospitals and emergency medics are few and far between on the water. If you have a new crew, then you may want to have them watch my sometimes humorous video called How to Talk Like a Sailor on my Grampian Marine YouTube site. Before you buy a boat or sail aboard a friend's boat, be aware that aboard a ship, the captain's word is law. There is no room for discussion or dissenting opinions, unless of course you want to be keel-hauled, an unsurvivable torture of being pulled down and around the bottom of the boat. When the captain barks an order, you want to be able to hop to it. Nautical terms are a mixture of Old English and words mispronounced to make it easier to shout them without losing your wooden teeth. Here are a few of the most common. Ahoy! A greeting or a call for attention. A vessel, the official term for a boat. Aft or stern, the back of a boat. Aloft, something that's above, up in the sails. Below deck, anything that's on a ship that is under the deck. The bow, the pointy end at the front. Rigging, all the ropes and cables and supports that keeps the sails up. A watch, when a crew is taking turns operating the ship, your watch is when it's your turn. The keel, it's the weighted point at the bottom of the boat. Rudder, the part of the boat at the stern behind the keel that steers the boat. The helm is a wheel or a tiller attached to the rudder for steering. Cabin, living area below the deck. Berth, your bed on a boat. Hatch, an opening in the deck of a boat. Galley, the area where food is stored, prepared, and cooked on a boat. Head, I know what you're thinking, a tiny area with a marine toilet. The next step is to make sure your boat is prepared. It should be fully seaworthy and have all the required safety equipment on board. In my jurisdiction, I'm required to have one 5-pound fire extinguisher on board. If you've ever used one of those, you know that they only last a few seconds. So I have two, one in the galley and one by the motor. The next thing is you. Yes, you, the captain of the ship. You must be familiar with the operation of everything aboard your vessel. Since it's winter, now is the perfect time to brush up on your sailing skills. You can take courses at night school or online. You will need to know how to navigate, read charts, and use your GPS chart plotter. Yes, I did say and. A good captain will never rely just on technology. I talk to people all the time who navigate using their cell phones. They are fools. Don't risk the lives of everyone on board because a cell phone fails. Carry charts and know how to use them. I have a chart plotter and a tablet with charts loaded on, and I have chart books and charts on board. I don't want to be a naysayer, but even the best GPS only shows you a little snapshot of where you are and how to get to the next waypoint. The screen is simply too small to display the same information as a chart. A chart allows you to see the big picture, all the buoys, all the hazards, everything you need to be aware of to properly navigate. And also, by the way, be familiar with the weather in your area. Take courses and be observant. In my area, during the hottest part of summer, the violent thunderstorms and tornadoes, if they happen, almost always occur in the afternoon of a hot, sunny day. I make it a habit of starting out early to avoid the possibility of those afternoon pop-up storms. Don't go out in bad weather, at least for the time being, and be prepared with an escape route should you see bad weather developing. You can get an app on your smartphone for a weather watch or warning, and always keep an eye on the sky. Towering white clouds with flat tops are almost always trouble. The single most important item for the comfort of your crew is the provisions. Take a variety of tinned foods and dry foods with you and supplement them with fresh meals, fruits and veggies that you pick up on the way. Making food on board is an entirely different episode, and my This Old Fiberglass Boat channel has an episode on that. Episode 5, Cooking on a Boat. Hi, I'm Alan Stokel, and let's face it, if you have 1 or 2 burner stove on board, you can cook anything you like. That is, anything you like that can be made in a saucepan or a skillet. Breakfast will be no problem, even without a toaster. Miss toast? Try buttering the bread on one side and putting it face down on a hot skillet and turn after a couple minutes. Yes, it is fried bread, but it took less oil than if you'd buttered hot toast. Try it. I think you'll find the taste is better and it has better texture than toast. There are a few limitations with cooking on a boat. Some dishes need to be made in ovens, but others, like pizza, can be made on a boat without an oven. The real secret to boat cooking is to keep it simple. My wife's family is from the Mediterranean, so pre-made pasta at our house is pretty much a no-no. Even if you agree that commercial sauce is no good, keep a bottle or 2 of high-end sauce on board. You won't always have the time to buy tomatoes, cook them all day, and add all those fresh herbs and spices. Also, it really heats up the cabin when you do that. Pasta sauce is useful as a layer on pizza for the next day's pasta and for sloppy joes for lunch. Try keeping a few dried herbs on board and maybe a clove or 2 of garlic. For more genuine flavor, by the way, you should try caramelizing the onion in a saucepan before you add the sauce. It all boils down to the KISS theory. Keep it simple when sailing. I'll show you around my pantry, and then
I'll make something that needs an oven, and that's an oven I don't have.
If this is your first cruise, you may want to limit it to a long weekend because there will be a few issues cropping up, and not being too far from home can often make them much less serious. Now, let's choose a destination. I've already chosen where I want to cruise, but you should choose a destination that is realistic and doable, and unless you are a real keener, only plan on being on the water for 4 or 5 hours a day. My boat does a steady 6 knots, or about 12 kilometers an hour, so realistically I can go about 48 kilometers in 4 hours. So I'll need to find a place about 50 kilometers from home port. You can anchor off, but if you're new to cruising and you want this cruise to be a positive experience for all on board, I suggest staying the night on a dock, at least for the time being. I find Google Maps to be great in the initial planning stages of a cruise. You can see the big picture. You can zoom in for close-ups. You can use a satellite view for seeing docks and clubs and marinas. You can right-click and you can measure distances. You can also check out how far the marina is from civilization using the Street View function. You'll have no car, so if it's miles from anywhere and you need supplies, you may be out of luck. I also find these ports guides very useful. They've got useful information on marinas and clubs, and lots of useful information for planning your cruise. Once I have a list of the ports I will be visiting, I typically type them into a sail plan that I can later leave with friends and relatives. That way, if you are overdue, the Coast Guard knows where to look. Only after all this do I enter my waypoints into my chart plotter. Any questions? Please email me at budgetboatcruising@gmail.com. I'm Alan Stokel. Thank you for watching.